So Google released not only Gemini 3 recently, which is what a lot of people are considering the most powerful AI model, they also released something called Antigravity. This is a cursor competitor that is an IDE with AI agent functionality, which allows you to build full stack apps. So in this video, I'm going to put it to the test. I'm going to build a ChatGPT clone. Inside of Google's Antigravity, we're going to use their agents to actually build features for us. We're not going to write any code ourselves. I think you're going to be really impressed and interested to see the results and also just see all the features that Antigravity has and see how it compares to Cursor, which you might be more familiar with because that is the leader in the space. I've also been seeing some people online talking about how Antigravity on itself is good. Gemini 3 by itself is good, but when you combine Gemini 3, the model, with Antigravity, it really takes things to the next level. All right, let's jump in. So we can go through the onboarding. We can start fresh and editor type theme. Let's go with light and click next. I want to use this with agent assisted development. So we'll go ahead and click next. I'm just going to continue with the editor defaults and then sign in with my Google account. Here we are inside Antigravity, and I'm going to show you around the editor before we actually start building and talk about some of the differences that I see between Antigravity and Cursor, which is what I'm most used to. Now, I bet this is going to be pretty similar to Cursor. So that's Google's goal, create their own IDE that is going to compete with Cursor. So people are going to use theirs, and then they're also going to default to the Gemini models because that's what they want people to be using. So if you weren't already aware, Google hired the Windsurf executives in a $2.4 billion deal. So it's very likely that Antigravity is also going to be similar to Windsurf. Now, Windsurf was also very similar to Cursor. So again, all these IDEs are somewhat similar. The difference is going to be just in the actual results, how the agents work together. And there's going to probably be some UI differences on the user side. So similar to Cursor, we have our extensions here, and these are all the extensions that are going to be available in the Open VSX marketplace. So these are extensions that can be really helpful, but we're not going to dive into those in this video. So we also have the ability to open folders, clone a repository if we want to clone a repository directly from GitHub, and then also open the agent manager. And this is something I'm really excited to dig a little bit more into because here we can have agents do tasks like deep research, long-running projects, or background tasks, and then monitor the progress of multiple agents in the inbox and then review their work when they're done. So this I'm really excited to test out in more detail. So we are going to definitely be spending more time inside of the agent manager. Then over here, we have our agent that we can work with. We can open up our terminal here. This is very similar to Cursor. And then the same toggles here on the left side. And then you can also customize your layout if you want to get more specific about where you want everything to be placed. So this is also cool as well. If you click this button here for open browser, basically it's going to open it into Chrome and allow the Antigravity agent to actually interact with websites in our browser and also test features, monitor dashboards, and handle routine browser tasks. So then if we use this open browser, we should be able to have the agent actually preview and work in our browser. And again, that's something that Cursor has as well, but it's cool to see that that's something Antigravity has. So to get started, I just open a completely empty folder in Antigravity, and we're going to start building with the agent and seeing what it can do. So here on the right side, we have our agent. You can go from planning mode to fast mode. There's Gemini 3 Pro High, Pro Low, and then Sonnet 4.5 and Sonnet 4.5 Thinking. So why don't we start with, let's just start with the most powerful models, 3 Pro High with planning. So the prompt that I gave it is, let's build an AI chat app similar to ChatGPT. Please use the best coding language for this. Start with a simple MVP, and we can build on as we go. So again, this is starting with a completely blank folder. There's no folders, no code at all written. So I'm going to vibe code and just let Gemini completely build this for me inside of the Antigravity IDE. So by default here, it's creating an implementation plan, it looks like, or a task. So here I can see there's both an implementation plan here and then a task list, essentially. So initializing the project, implementing basic UI. So it did all this on its own, and then it's essentially going to go through one by one and start knocking out these tasks. So since Antigravity was just released, I believe it's free. If you download it quickly, you'll be able to try it out for free as well. So that part's also really nice. I don't know how long that's going to last, but it is free to use right now, which is a big benefit over other IDEs. Now, the other thing that you need to keep aware of with this whole world of AI coding is, this code is code that you own. So I can take this folder once it creates everything, and then I can go ahead and basically open this folder in Cursor and then start building in Cursor. So you're not locked into Antigravity just because you start in Antigravity. So it looks like it's waiting for me to go ahead and accept. So I went ahead and did that. Hopefully it'll keep building now. And then on the left side, we can see it created the AI chat app folder with all the Node.js files, and it's starting to just build this out for us. So again, it's just doing it here on its own. This is all just based off of this one individual prompt, and then we are just letting it go. And we're going to see how well it is at building and what kind of results we get. I really like building in these IDEs, and it gets you closer to the actual code. It does require you to maybe be a little bit more technical, but it really is not that difficult because the agent is going to be doing a lot of the work here on the right side. So it looks like already it's verifying that the MVP is working. It wants to open the browser to actually test this. So let me just get this set up. So I guess I have to click setup. I thought I already installed this extension. I did. Yeah, it's there. And here, yeah, we can see on localhost 3000, it is actually testing it out in the browser. There's an issue, but the agent is running, so I can't even click anything on this tab. And here we can see it's essentially extracting the issue, trying to figure out what the problem is. It's doing this all autonomously. So here we can see it even tested it by sending a message. It received the mock response, and then over on the right side, it says it's running. We just need to provide an API key, and it's going to hook it up. So let's say I'm just going to accept all. I'm going to say, great. I can provide an open AI API key. Here we can see it thinking. It is implementing the logic. It is adding the env file for the API key. So we'll see how it does with all that. But already I'm pretty impressed. You can see that it's saying it built it, it verified it, and then it's telling me what the next steps are, which is AI integration, markdown support, and a sidebar with history management. I agree with all those things. So let's let it just knock those things out and see how far it gets. And this is literally just me showing you how easy and possible it is to build just about any idea that you have now. Like, yeah, it is going to take time, especially as you go from MVP to production. And there's going to be many use cases as you keep building and coming up with specific features and making sure everything's working correctly and you have your database structured. But this just shows you what's possible and how powerful both the AI models are and also the interfaces and infrastructure around the models are and how they're continuing to improve, where you have IDEs and agents like Antigravity here, which is putting this all together for you. Okay, so it says it updated it. It created a file. We just have to add our OpenAI key inside of that file, the .env file. So I guess, it wants us to create the file. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So inside of the AI chat app, we're going to say new file .env.local. And then in there, just paste that in. And then we have to put our API key. And I just got that from right here. And it looks like it's interesting. It created a .env template file. But anyway, we have the .env.local. And then let me put it in, and then we'll restart the server. So let's test this out here in Chrome. We'll say hello. And let's see if we really get an AI response back. And it looks like we did. So if you're on the right side, it says it's using GPT-4o mini model. That's amazing. And I think just the fact that it was able to understand and know the OpenAI API documentation so well that it could integrate it, that's really cool. Just did it in one shot. And this is also where I think AI models are going and where the future of AI building is any API. These models are just going to understand the API documentation and be able to integrate APIs into your app. Now, OpenAI is a more common one, so I'm sure, the Antigravity team wanted to make sure that the models could do it, or Gemini 3, whatever, whether that's Antigravity or the fact that we're using Gemini 3, which is a really powerful new model. All of that's going to work together to give us this type of result. I am seeing an issue here. I'm not sure if this really matters right now. It just says there's something. I'm just going to not worry about it for now because it doesn't look like it's affecting the actual way the app is working. So I'm going to say, great, that works perfectly. Now let's add markdown for the responses and also a sidebar for message history or thread history. So let's let it build that out. And we're also only doing this here so far in the single agent, but we can start working in the agent manager. So here in the agent manager, we can see under inbox, there's the one chat that we're doing on the right side, but this is where we could add in more agents. So start additional conversations, and then we could have multiple conversations at the exact same time. And I can show you what that looks like. So here we have our inbox where it's building out what we just asked, but let's start another conversation. And what if we say, I also want, or I want the ability for the user to choose the AI model from OpenAI, look up the possible models that could be used and add that as an option for the user. So something that I'm curious about is like, if these agents are working on the same code or the same files, like, is it going to conflict and start causing issues? But that's just something we'll have to see of how anti-gravity is working. Now, something else that's cool is here with this model selection, we can see it's researching. So it's searching first for those models that are available. So that's going to be GPT-5 or GPT-4o, whatever the models available are for the user. So that's something that's even getting me thinking of, is this IDE something that we could use for market research or other tasks that aren't just really anything involving code or building something? Could we potentially use it for that? So maybe that'll be something I'll do in a future video. So if you're interested, leave a comment, let me know, and then subscribe to the channel to get notified when more content comes out around this type of stuff. So I'm always trying to keep you updated on the latest in AI models and tools and how to get the most out of it, whether you work at a company or you want to start your own company or you're an entrepreneur and just want to understand the landscape. So there's a lot of reasons to understand all of these tools, and I'm trying to always keep you updated. I'm trying to keep myself updated because things are moving so quickly, but then share it with you as I'm learning. So here we can see it's implementing that. And then if we go to the inbox, we can see both are working at the same time. It's adding here the sidebar and markdown functionality. Looks like it's using the browser, like we set up before, to actually test it. If we go over here, I don't know if we're going to be able to see it doing it, but it says here that it is navigating and attempting to figure out. Okay, so it looks like it is just figuring out the right local host to go to. Now it's going back to localhost 3000. So yeah, just kind of sharing my thought process as I'm looking and seeing what is happening. But this is overall really cool. Now Cursor also has the ability for like an agent manager section where you can have multiple agents going at the same time. So this isn't something necessarily fully unique to Antigravity from what I'm seeing so far, but I'm also seeing a pretty powerful and really good IDE. And right now it's, I'm not sure I'm seeing yet something that would make me switch from Cursor other than the fact that the models are free. But at the same time, I'm enjoying using it and I could see myself continuing to test it out. And if it works well, I could see myself sticking with it. So it's always hard because you don't really have I guess it's hard you can't really do the exact same things at the exact same time. So you're kind of going a little bit on what's the result? How good is the result? How quickly are you getting it? And which one do you like working with the best? So here we can see the agent is testing. It's verifying if it's working. It's creating new chats. So it's testing and it's had the agent working in the browser. This is a really cool feature, the browser feature and seeing the testings. This is also a lot of what is vibe coding in my experience is you'll build a feature, you go to the browser, you test it, you see if it works, and then you go back to debug. So if we can do that on its own, that's taking another step away from what we have to do as humans. And then we can think about the more high level things of what we want to build and how we want it to work. So it says it's finished. I do see the sidebar, which is really cool, but I don't see the model drop down. So I'm going to say, let's go to the Open Agent Manager. Then let's go to our inbox here. And under model selector, I'm going to say, I don't see the model selector in the UI. I wonder if the issue is because we had the agents working on the same files, if it kind of got overwritten. So that's something that we'll just have to keep an eye on. And I do think the best practice is probably not to have the agents working on the same kind of files or same area at the same time. Yeah, it looks like it's restoring changes. It's telling me it thinks that they basically got removed. So I'm thinking that's probably what happened. So let's go back and here. Yes. So now we can see the model selector is there. Yeah, it looks like let's try it on 3.5 turbo. And then let's do 4.0 and just, I guess, making sure that it's working. We did get a little bit of a different response, but yeah, so we do have the model selector now, which is cool. I want to try something a little bit different. So what I want to do is go back to the agent manager and work a little bit more on the design. This is something that I've found that Gemini 3 is quite good at design, and I want to see if it can do something. So I'm just writing a prompt to say, find out what ChatGPT looks like, and I want you to update our design to look professional and very similar to the actual ChatGPT design. So let's see what it does. It looks like first it's looking at our code, and I wonder if it's going to do research and actually, yeah, it looks like research ChatGPT design. So it's going to do research. It's creating a task list of what it's going to do. We can see it even opened. So it opened the browser. It searched ChatGPT UI design 2024. It should do 2025. I guess it doesn't. These models don't always know what the right year is, which is a little unfortunate. I feel like they should do a better job with that. Even I would think like Antigravity could have some like a helper system message, but yeah, cool that it opened the browser. We can see it's clicking. We can see it's literally looking at different images. Again, this might not be the way that I would necessarily suggest it to do this. It might be better to just go to ChatGPT's website, but it is at the same time cool to see how it's working in real time. It's kind of crazy. Looks like, yeah, and this might also be where it'd be better to just attach a screenshot to it, which actually we could do. I can see it's having some issues. So maybe I'll do that. I'm going to pause it and then let's actually just go to ChatGPT and I'm just going to take a screenshot of this. Let's see what it thinks. So here, go to the agent manager. So we'll say here, oops, let's go to the inbox, make sure I'm on the right one. Redesigning app view. I'll say, here is a screenshot of ChatGPT. So that might be better just to give it an actual screenshot. Or I could have said, go to this specific URL. Okay, it says it's done. And then we have the verification results and let's check it out. So we'll go to our local host and yeah, it's okay. They did make it look more like ChatGPT, but the sidebar doesn't look very good. I'll say hello, but actually it looks honestly pretty solid. Like it doesn't, obviously we don't have all these features yet, but it did clone ChatGPT, actually pretty similar. So I'm going to go back, but I do want to go back to the manager and I'm going to say like, looks pretty good. Make sure the sidebar matches the same design. Also, remove any buttons we don't have features for yet. So let's see if we can update it a little bit and just get everything to look good. It overall made it look good and nice, but added additional features. And then the sidebar, for some reason, it didn't actually include in the design. I'm guessing because I didn't include that in the screenshot and it just took it too literally. So it updated. It definitely looks a lot better. One thing that I don't see anymore is the model dropdown. So I'm going to say add a model selector inside the chat input now because I don't see it anymore. Pretty good. And again, this is all done 100%. We started from scratch inside of Antigravity. We're using Gemini 3 Pro to build it out. It's free to use right now, I believe, within Antigravity's IDE. So it's worth downloading it and trying it out just for that. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Like, is this something you can see yourself using? And I'm also curious what you think, especially if you're used to building in something like Lovable. Would you prefer to use something like this now that you're seeing how it actually works? And does it seem too overwhelming or too technical, or does it seem like something that you think is possible to use for yourself? And it looks like it added it, and yeah, it is there. So we have the model selector now, which is cool. The one thing it's missing is GPT-5. So I want to make sure we have that. So I'm going to say, can we make sure GPT-5 is an option? Research the model implementation. If you need online, GPT-5 is the newest open AI model. So I want to make sure that we have GPT-5 because that is the best model available. So I'd want to make sure we have that. Something else to note is We don't have a backend database right now. It's just all, it looks like it's saving the data on the browser. So something to be aware of is just that would be another step, is we can connect to something like Supabase. It would be really easy to do, to ask Antigravity to connect to Supabase. It'd be an API call, but you have to create a project in Supabase. So it wouldn't be too hard. And that would be how we would start to connect things together and start to have the backend and database and user authentication as well, all built into one. So that's one of the cool things, Supabase, and I use it for most of the projects that I'm using. Okay, so I think it added it. So now if I do GPT 5.1, let's say hello, let's just see if it's working. And cool. So it does seem to be working and giving us a result. So I'm going to say, let's test it on something harder, or see how the markdown feature works as well. So I'm going to say, let's say write a short story with headers about a king. So I'm curious if the markdown functionality is working for the responses. And it looks like it also is not streaming in. It's just getting the full response, and then it's going to give us the full response afterwards. So yeah, so that would be something else. And also, actually, it looks like scrolling doesn't work if I try to scroll up and down on a long message. So another bug that we would need to fix. But I do see the markdown styling is working, which is really cool. So I'm going to stop there. Of course, there's a lot more features we could build and just keep adding on to this. But I think that this video gives you at least a good idea now of what's possible with Antigravity. And if you were curious of what it looked like, if you are familiar with Cursor, now you should be familiar with, at least on a high level, what Antigravity looks like, what it's like building in it. And, of course, I did this pretty quickly. So let me know in the comments if there's other things you want to see me build or see me do or showcase inside of Antigravity or other AI vibe coding tools. So thanks for watching. Again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I hope you get out there and start building yourself and take what you're learning and start building your own ideas. Check out more of our videos or other videos on YouTube about how to use these AI and vibe coding tools. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more free content, and we'll see you in the next video.